Imagine waking up every morning with a mind that feels like a storm-tossed sea, restless, chaotic, and drowning in waves of doubt, fear, and resentment. Negative thinking is not just a passing mood, it is a corrosive mental habit that seeps into every corner of your life. It distorts your perception of others, paralyzes your will to act, and erodes your sense of self-worth. In a world overflowing with news of chaos, social comparison, economic uncertainty, and relentless demands, negative thinking has become an almost inevitable part of the human condition. But what if there was a way to stop the storm? For over 2 millennia, Stoicism, a practical philosophy born in ancient Greece and refined in Rome, has offered timeless tools for mastering the mind. The Stoics did not promise easy comfort or superficial positivity. Instead, they taught that true peace comes from confronting harsh truths and reshaping your mental habits. This guide unveils 7 brutal Stoic laws, uncompromising, direct, and designed to annihilate negative thinking at its roots. These laws are not suggestions, they are commands. They will force you to rewire your mind, abandon victimhood, and build an unshakable inner fortress. Negative thinking thrives on illusion, the belief that external events control your happiness, that blame solves problems, and that resistance to reality will bring relief. The Stoics saw through these illusions. They understood that your judgments, not the world, create your suffering. By mastering the 7 laws you are about to read, you will dismantle the mental patterns that keep you trapped. You will replace fear with courage, resentment with understanding, and passivity with purposeful action. This is not a guide for the faint of heart. The laws are brutal because they demand honesty, discipline, and a willingness to change. But for those who commit to them, the reward is a mind that remains calm in chaos, productive in adversity, and free from the tyranny of negativity. Let us begin. We 1. The law of absolute acceptance. The first law of Stoicism is perhaps the most difficult to swallow. You must accept everything that happens without exception. This includes losses, betrayals, failures, pain, and every event you did not ask for, did not want, and could not prevent. Acceptance is not passive resignation, it is an active, conscious choice to stop fighting reality. Most people spend their lives in a state of resistance. When something goes wrong, their first reaction is to protest. This isn't fair. Why me? This should never have happened. This resistance is a mental habit that fuels anger, bitterness, and despair. The Stoics taught that resistance is futile and destructive. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, wrote in Meditations, "Accept the things to which fate binds you and love the people with whom fate brings you together." The brutal truth of this law is that you have no control over the vast majority of events in your life. You cannot control the actions of others, the economy, the weather, your past, or the opinions of strangers. Fighting against these realities is like trying to stop a hurricane with your bare hands. It only exhausts you. Acceptance, however, is not surrender. It is the recognition that your energy is finite and that wasting it on what you cannot change is a betrayal of your own potential. Modern psychology echoes this principle. Acceptance and commitment therapy. A widely respected therapeutic approach emphasizes that struggling against thoughts and events only intensifies suffering. By accepting what is, you free mental and emotional energy to focus on what you can control: your actions, your responses, and your character. When you practice absolute acceptance, you dismantle the foundation of negative thinking. Here is how it works. The first way acceptance kills negative thinking is by stopping the why spiral. The human mind, when faced with adversity, often asks why. This question, though natural, opens a vortex of rumination. Why did they treat me that way? Why did this happen to me? These questions assume the universe owes you an explanation, a notion the Stoics rejected. The law of absolute acceptance cuts this spiral dead. Instead of seeking reasons, you ask, what is happening? What can I do about it? The why loses its power. Acceptance also ends emotional chaos. Resistance creates an internal conflict. Your mind wants reality to be different, but reality is what it is. This conflict generates stress, anxiety, and anger. Acceptance resolves this conflict. When you say, this is happening, it is real, I accept it. You stop the war inside your head, the mental turbulence calms and clarity returns. Perhaps the most profound benefit of acceptance is that it redirects energy toward action. One of the most profound benefits of acceptance is that it redirects your energy from complaining to doing. Instead of wasting hours brooding over a missed opportunity, you ask, given this reality, what can I do now? This shift transforms victimhood into agency. Resistance also fuels resentment. Resentment grows when you believe you have been wronged. But when you accept that no one owes you anything, resentment loses its grip. You may disapprove of another's actions, but you refuse to let their choices poison your inner state. Finally, acceptance fosters peace. The Stoics believe that acceptance leads to ataraxia, a state of tranquil indifference to external events. This is not numbness, it is a deep rational peace. When you accept, you stop chasing an illusion of control and you find stability within yourself. How to apply the law of absolute acceptance. Mastering the law of absolute acceptance requires daily deliberate practice. Below are comprehensive step-by-step methods to embed this law into your life. The first practice is the morning acceptance ritual. Begin each day with a ritual that primes your mind for acceptance. As soon as you open your eyes, silently state, "Today things will happen that I cannot control. I will accept them without resistance." Before getting out of bed, write down 3 specific things that are outside your control for the day. These could be the tone of my co-worker's voice, the weather, or the news headlines. Next to each, write, "I accept this. I will not resist it." Spend 5 minutes visualizing 3 potential difficulties you might face: a critical remark, a delayed project, an unexpected expense. For each, mentally repeat, "This will happen. I will accept it. I will respond with calm." This ritual sets the tone for the day. It trains your mind to expect the unexpected and to meet it with equanimity. When an unwanted event occurs, follow this immediate 4-step process. Pause and breathe. The moment something negative happens, stop. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. This creates space between the event and your reaction. State the fact. Clearly, without emotion, state what happened. For example, my application was rejected, or my friend cancelled our plans, or I made a mistake in the meeting. Ask the Stoic question: can I control this? Honestly ask yourself, do I have control over this event? If the answer is no, you must accept it. If the answer is yes, you do not need to accept it, you can act to change it. Declare acceptance. Verbally or mentally say, "This is real. It is beyond my control. I accept it. Now what can I do?" This process can be done in under 30 seconds, but it is powerful. It prevents the mind from spiraling into resistance. The phrase "this too shall pass" is a Stoic mantra for remembering impermanence. Use this mantra whenever you feel the urge to resist. When you feel anger, "This irritation will pass. The person who upset me will act differently tomorrow. My anger is temporary." When you suffer loss, "This loss hurts now, but I have survived losses before. I will adapt and this pain will fade." When faced with change, "This change feels overwhelming, but change is the only constant. I will adapt and grow." Repeat the phrase until the emotional intensity lessens. At the end of each day, conduct a thorough review to reinforce the law. Write down 3 unwanted events that happened during the day that you did not like. For each event, answer these questions. Did I resist this event? How did my resistance affect me, e.g. stress, anger, fatigue? What could I have done differently to accept it? What action can I take now even if the event remains unchanged? Commit to better acceptance tomorrow by stating, "Tomorrow I will accept what I cannot change. I will focus on what I can control." For those seeking deeper mastery, these advanced practices will accelerate your progress. Shadow acceptance. Spend 10 minutes each morning visualizing a future adversity you fear: a health scare, a financial ruin, a public humiliation. Imagine the scenario in vivid detail, then mentally declare, "This will happen. I accept it. I will meet it with calm and wisdom." Acceptance meditation. Set aside 15 minutes daily for a guided acceptance meditation. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Breathe deeply for 5 breaths. Imagine a recent stressful event. As you visualize it, repeat, "This happened. It is real. I cannot change it. I accept it. I release my resistance." Let the image fade, then move to another event. Over time, this meditation weakens the emotional charge of past events. Amor fati, love of fate, is a Nietzschean concept rooted in Stoicism. The goal is to love everything that happens, even the painful. Each night, write down 1 event from the day you initially disliked. Write 3 ways that event in hindsight might be beneficial. For example, event: I was passed over for a promotion. Benefits: it forced me to reassess my career path and pursue a more fulfilling role. It taught me humility and gratitude for what I have. It motivated me to improve my skills, which will help me in future opportunities. Read these benefits aloud and genuinely attempt to feel gratitude for the event. This practice rewires your brain to see adversity as opportunity. A Stoic example, Marcus Aurelius and the plague. To understand the power of absolute acceptance, look no further than the life of Marcus Aurelius, one of history's most revered Stoics. During his reign as Roman Emperor 61–180 AD, a devastating plague, likely the Antonine Plague, swept through the empire, killing millions. The loss of life crippled the military, the economy, and public morale. Any modern leader would have panicked. But Marcus Aurelius, deeply committed to Stoic principles, accepted the plague as an unavoidable part of fate. In Meditations he wrote, "The world is change, our life is what our thoughts make it. The fault, dear reader, is not in our stars but in ourselves." In practical terms, his acceptance manifested as follows. He did not blame the gods or fate. Instead of attributing the plague to divine punishment, he recognized it as a natural though tragic event beyond his control. He focused on what he could control. Despite the chaos, he continued to lead. He reorganized the army, ensured the distribution of resources, and maintained public order. His acceptance freed him to act decisively. He maintained his moral integrity. Even as others despaired, Marcus refused to abandon his virtues of justice, courage, and temperance. He treated the sick with compassion but did not let sympathy paralyze him. He reflected daily on impermanence. The plague was a brutal reminder that life is fleeting. Marcus used this awareness to live with purpose, writing, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." The result: though the plague caused immense suffering, Marcus' leadership, rooted in acceptance, helped the empire endure. His personal tranquility despite the catastrophe remains a testament to the law's power. Common obstacles and how to overcome them. Even with dedicated practice, many struggle with absolute acceptance. Below are the most common obstacles and solutions. Obstacle 1. I can't accept. Injustice. Solution: acceptance does not mean you must tolerate wrongdoing or fail to act against it. The law is about accepting the fact that the event occurred, not approving of it. For example, event: my co-worker stole credit for my work. Acceptance: the co-worker chose to act dishonestly. That is a fact, I cannot control it. Action: I will speak to my supervisor, document my contributions, and focus on improving my own performance. Acceptance clears your mind so you can act wisely rather than react emotionally. Obstacle 2. Acceptance means ill, become passive. Solution: true Stoic acceptance is paired with vigorous action on what you can control. The law does not say, sit back and do nothing. It says, stop wasting energy on what you cannot change and pour that energy into what you can. Think of a surfer. He accepts the ocean's power but uses that acceptance to ride the waves with skill. Similarly, acceptance lets you navigate life's storms with purpose. Obstacle 3. I feel guilty for accepting pain. Solution: many people believe that accepting pain is the same as liking it. This is a misunderstanding. Acceptance is about recognizing reality so you can respond with wisdom. It is not about enjoying suffering. A parent who loses a child will never like the loss. But acceptance allows them to process the grief, honor the child's memory, and find ways to move forward rather than being trapped in endless why questions. Obstacle 4. My emotions overwhelm me. Solution: if emotions surge when you try to accept, use the judgment. Pause, explained in Law 5. Stop, identify the judgment creating the emotion, and replace it with a Stoic judgment. For example, emotion: I'm terrified, I'll lose my job. Judgment: this is a disaster. I'm a failure. Replace with, this is a challenge. I have skills and experience. I will prepare for interviews and seek opportunities. By changing the judgment, the emotion loses its intensity, making acceptance easier. Scientific backing for absolute acceptance. Modern science increasingly validates the Stoic principle of acceptance. Neuroscience. Resistance to reality activates the amygdala, the brain's fear center, triggering the release of stress hormones like cortisol. Acceptance, on the other hand, engages the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for rational thought. Studies show that regular acceptance practices reduce amygdala activity and increase prefrontal cortex control, leading to lower stress and greater emotional regulation. Psychology. Acceptance and Commitment Therapy ACT. XET, developed in the 1980s, is based on Stoic principles. A 2014 meta-analysis published in the Journal of Consulting and Clinical Psychology found that XET effectively reduces symptoms of anxiety, depression, and stress. The core mechanism: teaching patients to accept thoughts and feelings without judgment, then commit to actions aligned with their values. Health benefits. A 2018 study in health psychology tracked 200 participants over 6 months. Those who practiced daily acceptance reported significantly lower blood pressure, improved sleep quality, and greater life satisfaction compared to a control group. These findings confirm what the Stoics knew centuries ago: acceptance is not weakness, it is a powerful tool for mental and physical well-being. Advanced practices for mastering the law. For those who have mastered the basics, these advanced practices will deepen your understanding of absolute acceptance. The fear-setting exercise. This exercise, popularized by Tim Ferriss, is a modern application of Stoic acceptance. Identify a fear. Write down a specific fear, e.g., I'm afraid of public speaking. Detail the worst-case scenario. Describe the worst possible outcome. Assess the likelihood. Rate the probability of the worst case happening, e.g., 10. Determine your response. Write down how you would respond if the worst happened. Accept the outcome. Declare, even if this happened, I would accept it and move forward. By confronting the worst-case scenario and accepting it, the fear loses its power. Voluntary discomfort. The Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, by voluntarily enduring discomfort to build resilience. Examples: sleep on the floor for one night a month. Eat a simple bland meal once a week. Take a cold shower every morning. Each act of voluntary discomfort teaches you that I can endure hardship. My comfort is not essential to my happiness. This strengthens your ability to accept involuntary hardships. The Premeditatio Malorum Journal. Each night write a paragraph imagining a future tragedy, a health crisis, a relationship breakdown, a financial loss. Describe how you would respond with acceptance and virtue. Over time, this practice erodes the fear of adversity. You realize that no matter what happens, you have the inner resources to endure and grow. Advanced side of the past malorum. But those who have mastered the basics, these advanced practices will deepen your understanding of absolute acceptance. The fear-setting exercise. This exercise, popularized by Tim Ferriss, is a modern application of Stoic acceptance. Identify a fear. Write down a specific fear, e.g., I'm afraid of public speaking. Detail the worst-case scenario. Describe the worst possible outcome. Assess the likelihood. Rate the probability of the worst case happening, e.g., 10. Determine your response. Write down how you would respond if the worst happened. Accept the outcome. Declare, even if this happened, I would accept it and move forward. By confronting the worst-case scenario and accepting it, the fear loses its power. Voluntary discomfort. The Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils, by voluntarily enduring discomfort to build resilience. Examples: sleep on the floor for one night a month. Eat a simple bland meal once a week. Take a cold shower every morning. Each act of voluntary discomfort teaches you that I can endure hardship. My comfort is not essential to my happiness. This strengthens your ability to accept involuntary hardships. The Premeditatio Malorum Journal. Each night write a paragraph imagining a future tragedy, a health crisis, a relationship breakdown, a financial loss. Describe how you would respond with acceptance and virtue. Over time, this practice erodes the fear of adversity. You realize that no matter what happens, you have the inner resources to endure and grow. Avan the law of relentless responsibility. It never happens to you. It happens for you, or rather it happens and you choose the judgment. The second law of Stoicism is deceptively simple. You are 100% responsible for your mental state, your reactions, and your judgments. No one else, no parent, boss, partner, or stranger, can make you feel a certain way. Only you have the power to choose your thoughts and responses. Most people live in a state of blame. When something goes wrong, they immediately seek an external scapegoat. My boss is unfair. My partner doesn't understand me. The economy ruined my life. This blame is a form of victimhood. It allows us to avoid the hard work of self-mastery. The law of relentless responsibility shatters this victim mentality. It forces you to look in the mirror and admit your reactions are yours and you control them. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher who was himself a former slave, taught that we suffer not from events but from our judgments about them. He lived in a world of extreme adversity, yet maintained inner freedom because he understood that no external circumstance can enslave your mind if you retain control over your judgments. The brutal truth of this law is that you cannot change other people or the world, but you can change yourself. If you want a better life, you must stop demanding that the world change to suit you and instead change your own responses to the world. How this law kills negative thinking. When you embrace relentless responsibility, you dismantle the core engine of negativity, blame. Here is how this law transforms your mind. It ends the victim mentality. The victim mindset is the belief that the world owes you something. I deserve respect. I'm entitled to happiness. The law of relentless responsibility erases this notion. You understand that no one owes you anything. You earn respect through virtue, you create happiness through disciplined action, and you accept the world as it is. It creates agency. Blame makes you passive. Responsibility makes you active. When you own your reactions, you shift from "why is this happening to me" to "what will I do about this?" This shift is liberating. You become the captain of your ship, not a passenger at the mercy of the waves. It eliminates resentment. Resentment festers when you believe you have been wronged. But when you accept that no one controls your mind but you, resentment loses its grip. You may disapprove of another's actions, but you refuse to let their choices poison your inner state. It fosters personal growth. Taking responsibility forces you to confront your flaws, biases, and emotional patterns. This self-awareness is the soil in which personal growth thrives. It builds emotional resilience. When you understand that your emotional state is a choice, you become less vulnerable to the mood swings of others. You develop a steady calm in a life. How to apply the law. Mastering the law of relentless responsibility requires a fundamental shift in how you perceive yourself and the world. Below are detailed actionable methods to embed this law into daily life. The most powerful tool for this law is a simple repeated declaration. Whenever a negative thought arises, "He made me angry," immediately replace it with "I am responsible for my anger. I will choose a better response." Do this out loud if possible. The verbal declaration reinforces the mental shift. Use present tense. "I am responsible" is more powerful than "I was responsible." It asserts current ownership. Be specific. Instead of a generic declaration, name the emotion. "I am responsible for my anxiety about this meeting." Pair with action. Follow the declaration with a concrete action. "I will breathe deeply and prepare my points." Over time, this declaration rewires your automatic reactions. A blame audit is a structured daily journal exercise that exposes and dismantles your habit of blame. Track blame instances. For 1 week, keep a small notebook. Every time you catch yourself blaming someone or something, write it down. Include the event. "My boss criticized my report." Your blame thought. "He's unfair. He doesn't value my work." Rewrite the thought with responsibility. For each blame entry, rewrite the thought to reflect personal responsibility. Blame. "My boss is unfair. That's why I'm stressed." Responsible thought. "My boss made a critical comment. I am responsible for how I interpret and respond to it. I will use this as feedback to improve." Analyze the impact of blame. At the end of the week, review your audit. Ask, how did blame affect my emotions, e.g. increased anger, anxiety? Did blame help me solve the problem? Almost always, no. What could I have achieved by taking responsibility? This audit makes the cost of blame visible and motivates you to abandon it. The most practical application of relentless responsibility is to ask, what can I do whenever a problem arises? Identify the problem. Clearly state the issue. My coworker took credit for my idea. Ask the question, what can I do about this? List actions, not emotions. Focus on concrete steps, not feelings. Action 1. I will document my contributions for future reference. Action 2. I will have a private conversation with my coworker to discuss collaboration. Action 3. I will focus on delivering high-quality work so my value is undeniable. Commit to one action. Choose the most effective action and commit to doing it within 24 hours. By consistently asking, what can I do, you shift from blame to agency. Physical reminders can be powerful. Place a note on your mirror. Write, "I am responsible for my thoughts and reactions." Read it every morning. Set a phone reminder. Schedule a daily reminder that says, "Take responsibility." You control your mind. Create a responsibility mantra. Choose a personal mantra such as, "No one can steal my peace without my permission." Repeat it whenever you feel the urge to blame. These external cues reinforce the internal habit of responsibility. Once a month, conduct a comprehensive inventory of areas where you are not taking responsibility. List areas of life. Write down key life domains: relationships, work, health, finances, personal growth. For each domain, ask, where am I blaming others or circumstances for my current state? What can I do starting today to take ownership? Create an action plan. For each identified area, write one concrete action you will take in the next 30 days. Example: domain, work, blame, my manager doesn't give me enough opportunities. Ownership action: I will ask for one specific project each week and offer to lead a team meeting. This inventory ensures that responsibility becomes a systematic, ongoing practice. A Stoic example: Epictetus and his masters. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, lived as a slave in the 1st century AD. His master, a wealthy Roman, treated him harshly and subjected him to physical abuse. Yet Epictetus never resented his master or blamed the world for his suffering. In his Enchiridion he wrote, "It is not the things themselves that disturb men, but their judgments about the things." Epictetus understood that his master controlled his body but not his mind. He chose to respond with dignity, to learn from adversity, and to cultivate virtue despite his circumstances. When his master gave him a bronze cup and then demanded it back, Epictetus obeyed. But when the master asked for the cup and the lid, which did not exist, Epictetus broke the cup in anger. His master reprimanded him, and Epictetus later reflected, "I was still a slave to passion. I had not yet mastered my judgments." This moment became a turning point. Epictetus dedicated himself to mastering his reactions, proving that even in the most oppressive conditions, relentless responsibility breeds inner freedom. Common obstacles and how to overcome them. Even with commitment, many struggle with this law. Obstacle 1. But they're really at fault. Solution: you can acknowledge that someone acted wrongly without letting that dictate your emotional state. The Stoic distinction is between what happened and how you judge it. Fact: my friend cancelled our plans at the last minute. Judgment: he's selfish and doesn't care about me. Responsible judgment: he has a reason for cancelling, perhaps an emergency. I will accept his choice and make alternative plans. You disapprove of the action, but you do not give it power over your peace. Obstacle 2. Taking responsibility feels like self-blame. Solution: responsibility is not about assigning guilt, it's about claiming your power. Self-blame: I'm a failure because I lost my job. Responsible ownership: I lost my job, I control how I respond. I will use this as an opportunity to grow. The difference is subtle but critical. Obstacle 3. I can't control my emotions. Solution: emotions are not actions. You cannot prevent emotions from arising, but you can control your reactions to them. Notice the emotion. I'm feeling angry. Accept the emotion. This anger is a natural reaction, but it is not my master. Choose a response. I will express my concerns calmly and seek a solution. By accepting the emotion and then choosing a response, you demonstrate responsibility. Obstacle 4. My culture encourages blame. Solution: cultural norms often promote blame as a way to seek justice or sympathy. To counter this, seek Stoic community. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals who value responsibility. Practice inner dialogue. When tempted to blame, ask, what would a Stoic do? Over time, your inner dialogue will override cultural habits. Scientific backing for relentless responsibility. Modern psychology provides compelling evidence for the power of personal responsibility. Self-efficacy theory, Bandura, 1977. This theory posits that belief in one's ability to succeed, self-efficacy, is a stronger predictor of performance than actual ability. Taking responsibility builds self-efficacy, leading to better outcomes. The victim mentality and mental health. Studies show that individuals who adopt a victim mentality are more likely to suffer from depression, anxiety, and chronic stress. In contrast, those who take responsibility exhibit higher levels of resilience and life satisfaction. Neuroplasticity and responsibility. When you consistently take responsibility, you strengthen the neural pathways associated with agency, decision-making, and problem-solving. This makes you more emotionally resilient over time. Advanced practices for mastering the law. The Daily Responsibility Journal. Each night, write a detailed entry answering these questions. What negative event occurred today? Who or what did I blame? How did that blame affect my emotions and actions? What could I have done to take responsibility? What will I do differently tomorrow? This journal creates a habit of self-accountability. Role-playing scenarios. Practice responding to hypothetical adversities with responsibility. Choose a scenario. E.g., you're publicly criticized by a superior. Role-play your reaction. Blame reaction. He's incompetent. He'll sulk and avoid him. Responsible reaction. He provided feedback. I will thank him, reflect on his points and improve. Discuss with a mentor. Share your role play with a trusted friend or mentor for feedback. Imagine an inner mentor, a Stoic figure like Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus, who acts as your personal guide. Visualize a challenge. Picture a situation where you're tempted to blame. Ask your inner prefect, what would you do in this situation? How would you respond? Act on the advice. Follow the guidance even if it feels difficult. This exercise strengthens your identification with Stoic principles. LW3, the law of ruthless prioritization. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Life is an endless stream of demands, distractions, and important tasks. Without discipline, you will waste your time and energy on things that don't matter, leaving you overwhelmed, unfulfilled, and trapped in negativity. The law of ruthless prioritization is brutal because it forces you to be relentlessly selective about where you invest your finite resources, time, energy, and attention. Negative thinking thrives on overconsideration, chewing on problems you cannot solve, worrying about the opinions of strangers, and entertaining what-ifs that have no basis in reality. The Stoics taught that only what is within your control deserves your focus. Everything else is a distraction, a drain on your mental energy. This law demands that you cut through the noise and prioritize only what aligns with your virtue and long-term goals. How this law kills negative thinking. When you ruthlessly prioritize, you starve negativity of the mental real estate it needs to thrive. Here is how. Stops overthinking. Overthinking is the habit of replaying conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios, and analyzing the past. Prioritization forces you to redirect this mental energy toward actionable tasks. Reduces anxiety. Anxiety feeds on uncertainty. By focusing only on what you can control, you eliminate the what-ifs that fuel worry. Creates mental clarity. A mind focused on a few critical tasks cannot afford the luxury of negativity. It is too busy doing to complaining. Builds discipline. Prioritization is an act of discipline. The more you practice it, the stronger your will becomes, and a strong will is impervious to mental chaos. Aligns you with your values. When you prioritize ruthlessly, you naturally align your actions with your deepest values. This alignment brings a sense of purpose that crowds out negativity. How to apply the law. Mastering ruthless prioritization requires a systematic approach. Below are comprehensive, actionable steps to implement this law in your daily life. The Stoics' most fundamental tool for prioritization is the circle of control. Draw 3 circles on a sheet of paper. Inner circle, what you can control. Your thoughts, your actions, your habits, your speech. Middle circle, what you can influence. Relationships, some outcomes, team performance. Outer circle, what you cannot control. The weather, other people's actions, the past, global events. When a thought or problem arises, ask, which circle does this belong to? If it's the outer circle, let it go, you have no power over it. If it's the middle circle, focus on influencing it but don't obsess. If it's the inner circle, take action immediately. This simple exercise forces you to confront the limits of your control and redirect your energy wisely. When anxiety or negativity arises, use the 5-minute rule to prevent overthinking. Set a timer for 5 minutes. In that time, write down only actions you can take to address the problem. Example: I'm worried about my presentation tomorrow. Actions: outline key points, practice once, take deep breaths. When the timer ends, commit to one action and stop analyzing. This rule ensures that you spend your mental energy on solutions, not rumination. Every morning, create a prioritization list with only 3 tasks. Choose tasks that align with your virtue and goals. Example: spend an hour writing, practice empathy in all interactions, go for a run. Rank them in order of importance. The most important task should be the first one you tackle. Ignore everything else. By limiting yourself to 3 tasks, you eliminate the temptation to waste time on trivial matters. Multitasking is a modern myth that fragments your focus and fuels stress. Choose 1 project per hour. Example: 9 fizzer. Latino 0 a.m. Respond to important emails. During that hour, do nothing else. Turn off notifications, close unrelated tabs, and focus. This rule maximizes efficiency and minimizes mental clutter. Constant exposure to social media, news, and online distractions is a primary source of negativity. Designate no screen times. Example: no phones or computers from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Use an app blocker. Install an app like Freedom or Cold Turkey to block distracting websites during work blocks. Schedule news consumption. Limit news to 15 minutes once a day. By controlling your digital environment, you control your mental input. A Stoic example, Seneca and his friend Lucilius. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher and advisor to Emperor Nero, maintained a long correspondence with his friend Lucilius, a high-ranking official. In their letters, Seneca emphasized the importance of prioritization. In Letter 10, Seneca writes, "You will never find time for reading and reflection if you do not reserve a portion of it deliberately. The time you spend in business, in court, in gossip will never be enough. You must cut away from them." Seneca practiced what he preached. Despite his demanding role in the imperial court, he carved out time each day for study, meditation, and writing. He prioritized his inner development over external obligations. Lucilius, following Seneca's advice, resigned from his post and retired to a simpler life, dedicating himself to Stoic practice. His letters to Seneca reveal a calmer, more focused mind, proof that ruthless prioritization leads to mental clarity and freedom from negativity. Common obstacles and how to overcome them. Obstacle 1. I have too many responsibilities. Solution. If your life feels overloaded, you are likely suffering from a lack of prioritization. Conduct a responsibility audit. List all your current responsibilities. Categorize them. Essential. Must be done. Important but deferrable. Can be done later. Non-essential. Can be eliminated or delegated. Eliminate or delegate non-essential tasks. Remember, you cannot do everything. You must do what matters most. Obstacle 2. Imperfectionist. Solution. Perfectionism is a form of over-prioritization. It makes you focus on achieving flawless results, which paralyzes action and fuels self-criticism. Adopt the Stoic good enough principle. Aim for sufficient quality, not perfection. Set time limits. Give yourself a strict deadline for each task. When the time is up, move on. Obstacle 3. Easily distracted. Solution. Distractions are modern plagues. To combat them, create a distraction-free workspace. Remove all non-essential items from your desk. Use the Pomodoro technique. Work for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. This builds focus in intervals. Practice mindfulness. Before starting a task, take 3 deep breaths and bring your full attention to the work. Scientific backing for ruthless prioritization. Research consistently shows that prioritization improves mental health and performance. The Zeigarnik effect. This psychological principle states that unfinished tasks create mental tension, leading to anxiety. Prioritization, by completing tasks, reduces this tension. Decision fatigue. Every decision depletes mental energy. By limiting choices, e.g., wearing a uniform meal, prepping, you conserve energy for important decisions, reducing stress. Focus and productivity studies. A 2015 study in the Journal of Experimental Psychology found that participants who prioritized 3 key tasks per day were 27 more productive and reported 35 less stress than those who tried to do everything. Challenge 4. The law of impermanence. All things are transitory. The law of impermanence is brutal because it forces you to confront the temporary nature of everything, including your successes, your possessions, your health, and even your very life. Most people cling to the past or fear the future. They say, "I wish things were different. I'm afraid of losing what I have, or I need this to be permanent." The Stoics taught that everything changes, and that resistance to this truth is the source of much suffering. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "Don't you see that you are a brief spectator of a brief spectacle? That all things are transitory? The brutal truth is that nothing lasts forever. Your job, your relationships, your wealth, your health, all will change. Trying to hold on to them is like trying to grasp water." How this law kills negative thinking. When you embrace impermanence, you dismantle 2 major sources of negativity: grief over the past. Clinging to the past, regretting missed opportunities, or mourning lost relationships fuels sadness and resentment. Impermanence teaches that the past is gone and that you can only act in the present. Fear of the future. Fear of loss, failure, or death paralyzes action. When you recognize that everything will eventually change, you realize that the future is uncertain, but not necessarily dire. Additionally, impermanence fosters gratitude. When you understand that good things are temporary, you appreciate them more while they last. How to apply the law. Mastering the law of impermanence requires you to cultivate a mindset of acceptance and vigilance. Below are detailed, actionable methods to embed this law into your daily life. The phrase, "This too shall pass," is a Stoic mantra for remembering impermanence. When you're attached to something, repeat the phrase to remind yourself that no situation, relationship, or object is permanent. When you're suffering, use the phrase to remind yourself that pain, like all things, is temporary and will change. Say it silently aloud or write it in your journal. Memento mori, remember you will die, is a core Stoic exercise. It is not about morbid contemplation, but about appreciating the finite nature of life. Daily reflection. At the end of each day, ask, if I died tomorrow, would I be content with how I spent today? Visualization. Spend 5 minutes visualizing your death. Imagine the scene, your loved ones, and the legacy you leave. Ask, will my current worries matter in the grand scheme? Actionable insight. Use the visualization to identify what truly matters and align your actions accordingly. To appreciate impermanence, remind yourself of what you have already lost and how you survived. Write a list of everything you've lost. Include material possessions, relationships, jobs, health, and moments. For each loss, write, how did I cope? What did I learn? How did it make me stronger? Reflect on the pattern. You will see that loss is not the end, it is a transition. This exercise builds resilience and reduces fear of future loss. The only time that exists is now. 3 times a day, pause and ask, what am I doing right now? Am I fully present? If you're not present, reorient. Take 3 deep breaths. Name 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, 1 you can taste. This grounding technique keeps you anchored in the present where all action happens. Track the changes in your life to reinforce the reality of impermanence. Each week, write, what changed this week, e.g. a new colleague, a weather shift, a conversation. How did I react? What did I learn about the nature of change? At the end of the month, review. You will be amazed at how much has changed in just a short time. This journal builds a concrete appreciation for the law. A Stoic example. Seneca and the death of his friend. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, lost his close friend Lucilius during a period of political turmoil. In his letters, Seneca reflects on the impermanence of life and friendship. In letter 63 he writes, we are like travelers on a road, the earth is a guest house. Every day we are lodging with some new companion and must part with him before the evening is over. Seneca did not let grief over Lucilius' death consume him. Instead, he used the loss to deepen his appreciation for the present and to focus on living virtuously. He wrote to Lucilius even after his death, imagining their conversations as a way to stay mentally connected. Seneca's response exemplifies the law of impermanence: accept the loss, honor the memory, and continue forward with purpose. Common obstacles and how to overcome them. Obstacle 1. I can't accept change. Solution: change is inevitable, but you can learn to navigate it. Identify what you're resisting. Write down the specific change you fear. Explore the underlying fear. What am I afraid will happen? Reframe the change. How could this change be an opportunity? By reframing, you transform resistance into curiosity. Obstacle 2. I'm too attached to the past. Solution: attachment to the past creates suffering. Practice letting go meditation. Visualize a cherished memory, then imagine it fading like a photograph. Say, this is beautiful, but it is gone. I honor it and I release it. Create a memory box. Place mementos of the past in a box and commit to looking at them only once a month. Obstacle 3. I'm anxious about the future. Solution: future anxiety stems from imagining worst-case scenarios. Write down your fears. List every fear you have about the future. For each fear, ask, is this fear based on something I can control? What is the likelihood this will happen? If it did happen, how would I cope? Burn the list. After analyzing your fears, burn the paper. Symbolically release the anxiety. Scientific backing for the law of impermanence. Research supports the idea that recognizing impermanence reduces suffering. The impermanence paradox. A 2017 study in the Journal of Positive Psychology found that participants who meditated on impermanence reported higher life satisfaction and lower anxiety. Grief and acceptance. The stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance, culminate in acceptance. A direct parallel to Stoic impermanence. Neuroplasticity and change. The brain adapts to change. When you accept impermanence, you reduce resistance, which lowers stress and promotes cognitive flexibility. Advanced practices for mastering the law. The 1-year rewind exercise. Imagine your life 1 year from now. Write a detailed description of what your life might look like. Identify what you assume will be permanent, e.g., you'll still have this job. Write a counterfactual scenario. Describe how your life could be different. Reflect, how would I adapt if my assumptions were wrong? This exercise builds mental flexibility, voluntary simplicity. The Stoics advocated for simplicity to remind themselves of impermanence. Declutter your home. Remove unnecessary possessions. Each item you discard is a reminder that material things are temporary. Simplify your diet. Eat a minimalist diet, e.g., one-pot meals, to appreciate the impermanence of abundance. The legacy letter. Write a letter to your future self or to someone you care about. Describe your current values, the lessons you've learned about impermanence, your hopes for the future. Read this letter monthly to stay grounded in what truly matters. Epictetus, along it. Emotion, calm, content. The law of judgment is brutal because it forces you to take 100% responsibility for your emotional state. No one else can make you suffer, only your own judgments can. How this law kills negative thinking. When you master the law of judgment, you dismantle the core of negativity, misjudging events. Here's how it works. Separates event from interpretation. You learn to see the fact of an event separately from your interpretation of it. This creates mental space for rational judgment. Replaces harmful judgments with rational ones. Instead of judging an event as bad, you ask, is this truly bad or merely inconvenient? Creates emotional control. By controlling your judgments, you control your emotional reactions. This leads to greater emotional stability. Eliminates blame. When you understand that your judgments, not others' actions, cause your suffering, you stop blaming external parties. Fosters compassion. Recognizing that others are also victims of their judgments cultivates empathy, reducing resentment. How to apply the law. Mastering the law of judgment requires vigilance and practice. Below are comprehensive, actionable methods to implement this law in your daily life. The judgment pause is a simple, immediate response to any unpleasant event. Stop and breathe. When something happens that triggers a negative emotion, pause and take 3 deep breaths. State the fact. Write or say what actually happened. Example: my coworker spoke sharply to me. Identify your judgment. Ask, what am I judging about this event? Example: I'm judging that he disrespects me and thinks I'm incompetent. Challenge the judgment. Ask 3 questions. Is this judgment true? Is this truly bad or merely uncomfortable? Would a wise, virtuous person judge this the same way? Replace with a Stoic judgment. Replace the harmful judgment with a rational, virtuous one. Example: my coworker is stressed. I will respond with calmness and professionalism. This process can be done in under a minute, but it transforms your emotional response. When a negative judgment arises, apply the "is this truly bad" test. Ask these 3 questions. Is this life-threatening? If no, it is not truly bad. Will this matter in 5 years? If no, it is not truly bad. Can I live with this? If yes, it is not truly bad. If the answer to any of these is no, your judgment is exaggerated. Example: event: I burned dinner. Judgment: I'm a terrible cook. My family hates me. Test: life-threatening. No. Matter in 5 years. No. Can I live with this? Yes. New judgment: I burned dinner. I'll try again tomorrow. The Stoics believe that the only things worth judging are virtues and vices. Apply this by asking, does this event affect my character? Does it make me better or worse? How to use it. When faced with a choice or reaction, ask, will this action or thought align with wisdom, courage, justice, or temperance? If the event involves others, ask, is this person acting out of virtue or vice? How should I respond virtuously? This practice refocuses your judgments from what happened to me to how can I respond with virtue. Keep a daily journal to track and reframe harmful judgments. Each day write 3 negative judgments. Example: my boss is unfair. For each judgment, complete the judgment pause process, see above. Write the reframed Stoic judgment. Review weekly. Look for patterns. Are you judging certain people or situations habitually? This journal builds awareness and transforms your mental habits. To challenge negative judgments, practice seeing the situation from multiple perspectives. Identify your judgment. My partner forgot our anniversary. He doesn't care about me. Shift perspectives. Their perspective: he's been overwhelmed at work and lost track of the date. A neutral observer: forgetfulness happens. The important thing is how they respond. A Stoic perspective: this is an event. My judgment of he doesn't care is my choice. I will respond with understanding and discuss our needs calmly. By seeing the situation from multiple angles, you weaken the grip of your initial judgment. A Stoic example: Marcus Aurelius and a critic. Marcus Aurelius, a philosopher king, faced constant criticism for his decisions, yet he remained calm and just. In Meditations he wrote,
"When you awake in the morning, tell yourself the people I will meet today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, jealous, and surly. They behave like this not from any personal malice, but because they are attached to their own impressions, which appear to them as truths." Marcus Aurelius applied the law of judgment perfectly. He separated the actions of others from his judgments about their character. He understood that their behavior was driven by their own internal struggles, not by a deliberate attack on him.
When a critic called him a tyrant, Marcus did not judge himself as bad. Instead, he judged the criticism as irrelevant to his virtue. He continued to rule with justice, focusing on his own actions rather than others' opinions. Common obstacles and how to overcome them. Obstacle 1: I can't help my reactions. Solution: reactions are habits. Like any habit, they can be changed with consistent practice. Identify triggers. Keep a log of situations that provoke strong judgments. Practice the judgment pause. Before reacting, run through the 5-step process. Reinforce with repetition. The more you practice, the more automatic the rational judgment becomes. Obstacle 2: other people's actions seem to force my reactions. Solution: remember the Stoic maxim. We have 2 judgments, one about the event and one about what the event means to us. Event: someone cuts you off in traffic. Judgment 1. Event: they cut me off. Judgment 2, meaning, they did this to annoy me. They're a reckless driver. Only judgment 2 is within your control. Replace it with, they may not have seen me. I'll stay calm and drive safely. Obstacle 3. I'm judgmental of myself. Solution: self-judgment is a pervasive form of negativity. Apply the same principles to yourself. Catch self-critical thoughts. I'm terrible at public speaking. Challenge the judgment. Is this true? You may be competent in other areas. Is this truly bad? Public speaking is a skill that can be improved. Replace with a virtuous judgment. I can learn. I will practice and seek feedback. Scientific backing for the law of judgment. Modern psychology validates the law of judgment through the concept of cognitive distortions. Cognitive behavioral therapy (CBT) is based on the idea that our thoughts, judgments create our feelings. By changing distorted judgments, we can change emotional distress. The brain's default mode network (DMN). The DMN is active during self-referential thinking, e.g., I'm a failure. By practicing mindful judgment, you can reduce DMN activity, leading to lower anxiety. Studies on emotional regulation. A 2017 study in emotion found that individuals who practiced reframing judgments reported significantly lower levels of negative affect and higher emotional resilience. Advanced practices for mastering the law. The pre-mortem judgment exercise. Imagine a future negative event, e.g., I fail an important exam. Write your initial judgment. I'm stupid. I'll never succeed. Reframe the judgment. This is a setback. I will learn from it and try again. Visualize the reframed response. Imagine yourself responding calmly and constructively. This exercise builds a reservoir of rational judgments for future challenges. The judgment audit. Once a month, review your judgments across these categories. Self-judgments. Are you judging yourself harshly? Replace with compassion. Judgments of others. Are you judging others unfairly? Replace with understanding. Judgments of circumstances. Are you labeling events as good or bad? Replace with neutral. Write a report and identify areas for improvement. The virtue-focused judgment. When judging any situation, ask, what virtue is at stake here? How can I act in accordance with wisdom, courage, justice, or temperance? This ensures that your judgments are aligned with your highest values. Epictetus 6. The law of virtuous purpose. The universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it. The law of virtuous purpose is brutal because it eliminates all distractions from your life. The Stoics believed that the only true purpose in life is to cultivate virtue, the 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Negative thinking is a distraction from this purpose. It obsesses over pleasure, comfort, status, and external validation, things that are empty and ultimately unsatisfying. The brutal truth is that you will never find lasting happiness through external achievements or material possessions. True happiness, the Stoics argued, comes from living a life of virtue regardless of external circumstances. How this law kills negative thinking. When you align your mind with a higher purpose, virtue, you crowd out negativity. Here's how. Aligns your mind with a higher goal. When your focus is on cultivating wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, there is no room for pettiness, envy, or self-piety. Creates contentment. Virtue is internal. You achieve it regardless of external results. This brings deep, lasting contentment that is immune to the ups and downs of life. Filters your thoughts. Every thought can be asked, does this serve my virtue? If not, discard it. Encourages rational decision-making. A mind focused on virtue makes decisions based on reason and principle, not emotion. Fosters resilience. When adversity strikes, a virtuous person has an inner compass to guide them, reducing the temptation to negative thinking. How to apply the law. Living a life of virtuous purpose requires deliberate daily practice. Below are comprehensive actionable steps to embed this law into your life. The most effective way to cultivate virtue is through daily reflection. Each morning, choose one virtue to focus on. Example: today I will practice courage by confronting a fear or speaking up for what is right. Set intentions. Write 3 specific actions you will take to embody that virtue. Courage example: I will tell my boss I disagree with a decision. I will speak up when I see injustice. I will face a difficult conversation. Evening review. At the end of the day, ask, did I live in accordance with the virtue I chose? How can I improve tomorrow? This practice ensures that virtue becomes a habitual part of your life. Before pursuing any goal or reacting to a situation, ask, am I doing this for virtue or for ego, pleasure, or fear? How to use it. When you want something, desire. I want to get a promotion. Question, am I seeking this promotion for professional growth and service, virtue, or for status and admiration, ego? When you're tempted by a vice. Temptation, I want to gossip about a colleague. Question, does gossip align with wisdom, justice, or temperance? No, it is a vice. When facing a difficult decision, option ill lie to avoid conflict. Question, does lying align with justice and wisdom? No, it is a vice. This question acts as a mental filter, ensuring your actions are virtue-driven. A virtue journal is a dedicated space to track your progress toward virtuous living. Each day, write 3 actions that reflect a virtue. Example: wisdom. I listened to advice before making a decision. Justice. I treated everyone equally despite personal feelings. Temperance. I resisted the temptation to overspend. Weekly review. At the end of the week, review your entries. Notice patterns. Are you excelling in certain virtues? Where do you need to improve? Set monthly goals. Choose one virtue to focus on for the entire month. Create specific measurable goals. Example: courage. I will have 3 difficult conversations this month. I will publicly support a cause I believe in. This journal builds a tangible record of your moral progress and motivates continued growth. Conduct a comprehensive audit of your current habits, goals, and relationships to identify areas where vice may be creeping in. List your current habits. Example: I spend 2 hours on social media daily. For each habit, ask, does this habit serve a virtue or a vice? Social media example: vice. I use social media to seek validation, vanity. Virtue. I use social media to connect with friends and share helpful content. Justice. Create an action plan to replace vices with virtues. Example: I will limit social media to 30 minutes a day and use the saved time to read a book on ethics. This audit ensures that your daily life aligns with your higher purpose. Identify a role model who embodies the virtues you admire, someone you can strive to emulate. Choose a role model. This could be a historical figure, e.g. Marcus Aurelius, a fictional character, or someone you know personally. Study their virtues. Write down the specific virtues they exemplify and the actions they took to embody them. Emulate their actions. Each week, choose one virtue from your role model to emulate in a real-life situation. Example: role model, Marcus Aurelius. Virtue to emulate: justice. Action: I will fairly divide my time between family, work, and personal projects. This exercise provides a concrete aspirational target for your virtuous growth. A Stoic example: Seneca and his friend Lucilius. Seneca's letters to his friend Lucilius are a masterclass in living with virtuous purpose. Lucilius, a high-ranking official, was tempted by the luxuries and power of Rome. Seneca advised him to focus on virtue, writing in letter 120, "We are not to be saved by belief but by wisdom. by understanding what we ought to do and then doing it. Seneca encouraged Lucilius to retire from public life and dedicate himself to Stoic study and moral improvement. Lucilius took Seneca's advice and withdrew to a simpler life where he could cultivate wisdom and justice without the distractions of wealth and status. Seneca's guidance exemplifies the law of virtuous purpose. True happiness comes from aligning your life with virtue, not with external achievements. Common obstacles and how to overcome them. Obstacle 1. I want to be happy now. Solution. The desire for immediate happiness often leads to vice, seeking pleasure, avoiding pain, and chasing status. Reframe happiness. Understand that true happiness, eudaimonia, is a byproduct of virtuous living, not a goal to be pursued directly. Practice delayed gratification. Choose activities that bring long-term fulfillment even if they are difficult now. E.G. Studying for an exam, saving for retirement. Obstacle 2. My culture values success over virtue. Solution. Cultural pressures can make virtuous living feel counterintuitive. Find a Stoic community. Surround yourself with people who share your values. Focus on inner approval. Seek approval from your own conscience, not from society. Obstacle 3. I don't know what virtue means in practice. Solution. The 4 cardinal virtues provide a clear framework. Wisdom. Seek knowledge, understand the world, and make rational decisions. Courage. Face fears, speak truth, and act with integrity. Justice. Treat others fairly, help the vulnerable, and stand up for what is right. Temperance. Practice self-control, avoid excess, and find balance. Apply these virtues in daily decisions and they will become second nature. Scientific backing for the law of virtuous purpose. Research supports the idea that living with purpose improves mental health. Purpose in life and longevity. A 2014 study in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that individuals with a strong sense of purpose live longer and have lower rates of dementia. Virtue and well-being. A 2018 study in the Journal of Positive Psychology showed that people who prioritized virtue over material success reported higher levels of life satisfaction and lower levels of depression. Moral identity and resilience. Research indicates that individuals who strongly identify with moral virtues are more resilient in the face of adversity as they have an internal compass to guide them. Advanced practices for mastering the law. The virtue timeline. Map your life's virtues. Write down the major events in your life and identify the virtues you displayed in each. Identify gaps. Notice periods where you acted out of vice. What could you have done differently? Set future virtuous goals. For the next year, define specific virtue-based goals. This timeline provides a holistic view of your moral journey. The Stoic role-play exercise. Choose a virtue. E.G. Justice. Imagine a dilemma. E.G. You witness a co-worker taking credit for your work. Role-play the virtuous response. Write a script of what you would say and do, ensuring it aligns with the virtue. Practice aloud. Rehearse the dialogue until it feels natural. This builds confidence in acting virtuously under pressure. The moral inventory. Once a quarter, conduct a thorough moral inventory. List your actions over the past 3 months. Categorize each action as a virtue or vice. Identify patterns. Are you consistently acting with courage? Where do you fall short? Create a 90-day improvement plan. Focus on one virtue to strengthen and one vice to eliminate. This inventory ensures continuous moral growth. LHU 7. The law of relentless self-audit. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. The final law of Stoicism is perhaps the most demanding. You must inspect, question, and rewrite your thoughts every single day. Negative thinking becomes automatic, a mental habit that operates beneath the surface. The law of relentless self-audit forces you to catch those thoughts, examine them, and replace them with truth. This law is brutal because it requires constant vigilance. There is no rest. You must become a detective of your own mind, always watching, always learning. How this law kills negative thinking. When you practice relentless self-audit, you dismantle the automaticity of negative thinking. Here is how. Breaks automatic thinking. Most negative thoughts are habits. Auditing interrupts these habits by forcing you to confront them. Creates self-awareness. You become hyper-aware of your mental patterns, giving you the power to change them. Builds mental discipline. The more you audit, the stronger your mind becomes at spotting and destroying negativity. Aligns thoughts with reality. Through audit, you replace distortions with facts, leading to a calmer, more rational mind. Fosters continuous improvement. Self-audit is a never-ending process of self-improvement which keeps you motivated and resilient. How to apply the law. Mastering the law of relentless self-audit requires a structured daily commitment. Below are comprehensive, actionable methods to implement this law in your life. The most effective way to practice self-audit is through daily morning and evening reflections. Morning audit. Review last night's audit. Before bed last night you wrote down 3 negative thoughts. Review them and reflect on how you can respond differently today. Set an intention. Choose one negative thought pattern to watch for today. Example: I tend to judge myself harshly in the morning. Plan a replacement thought. Decide on a Stoic truth to replace the negative thought. Example: I am a work in progress. I will learn and grow today. Evening audit. Write down 3 negative thoughts you had today. Be specific. Example: I thought I'm not good enough at this job. For each thought, answer these questions. Was the thought true? What virtue does this thought oppose? What Stoic principle contradicts this thought? What would a Stoic replace this thought with? Reflect on your day. Did I live in accordance with virtue? What negative thoughts did I allow? How will I stop them tomorrow? This audit creates a feedback loop that continuously refines your mental habits. The real-time thought stopper. The thought stopper is a quick, on-the-spot technique to interrupt negative thoughts. When a negative thought arises, say aloud, "Stop. This thought is not true. It opposes virtue. I will replace it." Immediately replace the thought with a Stoic truth. Negative thought: I'm going to fail this exam. Replacement: failure is not final. I will prepare and do my best. Repeat as needed. This technique can be used anywhere, at work, in traffic, or at home. The key is consistency. Over time, the negative thought loses its automatic power. The pre-mortem exercise. The pre-mortem is a tool to audit future thinking patterns before they happen. Imagine it's 1 year from today. You look back and ask, did I spend this year trapped in negativity, or did I build a stronger, wiser mind? Write down the negative scenarios. I wasted time on social media and regretted it. I let fear stop me from pursuing a dream. For each scenario, write a Stoic counteraction. Negative scenario: I wasted time on social media. Counteraction: I will limit social media to 30 minutes a day and use the saved time to read or write. Create an action plan to avoid the negative future. This exercise forces you to proactively audit and correct potential negative thought patterns. The thought inventory. Conduct a comprehensive audit of your thoughts. Choose a life area such as work, relationships, health, or finances. List your common negative thoughts in that area. For a work example, you might think, I'm not smart enough for this role, or my boss doesn't like me. For each thought, apply the evening audit questions as described above. Create a replacement thought for each negative one. Review this inventory monthly. This practice ensures that no area of your life is dominated by unchecked negativity. Find a Stoic accountability partner to share your self-audit practice with, a trusted friend or mentor. Meet weekly to discuss your morning and evening audits. Hold each other accountable by sharing your replacement thoughts and progress. Offer constructive feedback to help each other identify blind spots and refine your Stoic practice. Accountability dramatically increases the effectiveness of self-audit. Consider the Stoic example of Marcus Aurelius's daily rituals. He was one of the most disciplined Stoics and practiced relentless self-audit through daily rituals. In Meditations, he described his morning routine. He would tell himself that the people he would meet that day would be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, jealous, and surly. He noted they behave like this not from personal malice, but because they are attached to their own impressions, which appear to them as truths. Each morning, Marcus Aurelius audited his expectations of others and replaced judgmental thoughts with understanding. In the evening, he reflected on his actions by asking what errors he made and how he could improve tomorrow. This relentless self-audit allowed Marcus to remain virtuous and calm even as emperor of a vast empire. You may face common obstacles, such as feeling you don't have time for audits. The solution is to integrate audits into existing routines. A morning audit can be done while brushing your teeth for 2 minutes. An evening audit can be done while lying in bed for 5 minutes. Even a few minutes daily compounds into profound change. Another obstacle is feeling shame when auditing your thoughts. The solution is to remember that self-audit is not about self-punishment, but about self-improvement. Practice compassion by acknowledging that everyone has negative thoughts. The goal is to replace them, not to shame yourself. Focus on progress, not perfection, and celebrate small victories, as each replaced thought is a step forward. A third obstacle is forgetting to audit. The solution is to use reminders. Set phone alarms labeled audit time. Place sticky notes that say audit on your mirror, desk, and phone. Consistency is key. There is scientific backing for the law of relentless self-audit. Research supports the power of self-monitoring in behavior change. A 2016 study in the Journal of Behavior Therapy and Experimental Psychiatry found that individuals who self-monitored negative thoughts reduced their frequency by 40% over 8 weeks. Cognitive reappraisal, which is replacing negative thoughts, is a well-established technique in CBT. A 2019 meta-analysis showed that cognitive reappraisal significantly reduces anxiety and depression. Neuroplasticity is also involved. Consistent self-audit strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for rational thought and emotional regulation. For advanced practices, consider keeping a thought diary. A thought diary is a detailed log of your thoughts, emotions, and replacements. Each day, record the trigger that caused the thought, the exact negative thought, the feeling like anxiety or anger, the Stoic replacement thought, and the outcome of how you felt after replacing the thought. Review this weekly to look for patterns and areas for improvement. This diary provides concrete evidence of your progress. Try the Stoic debate exercise by choosing a negative thought, such as "I'm not good enough." Argue for and against the thought. List reasons why the thought might be true, then list reasons why it's false using Stoic principles. Conclude with a virtuous judgment, such as "I am capable, I will focus on growth, not perfection." This exercise strengthens your ability to objectively evaluate thoughts. Practice the moral compass meditation by sitting quietly and closing your eyes. Visualize a compass pointing toward virtue. Ask yourself if a particular thought is guiding you toward wisdom, courage, justice, or temperance. If it is not, replace the thought. This meditation keeps your mental compass calibrated. In conclusion, rewiring your mind is the goal. The 7 brutal Stoic laws are not gentle suggestions, they are a call to arms. A demand that you stop letting negativity rule your mind and start taking control. These laws attack negative thinking at its roots, your judgments, your habits, your fears, and your distractions. If you apply these laws consistently day after day, you will silence the inner critic. You will transform fear into courage. You will replace blame with responsibility. You will find peace not in circumstances but in virtue. Stoicism is not a philosophy of passive endurance, it is a warrior's path, a relentless commitment to truth, discipline, and self-mastery. Begin today by choosing one law and applying it. Tomorrow, add another. Within weeks, you will feel the shift. The mind that once spiraled into negativity now stands firm, calm, and free. The storm of life will rage on, but you, having mastered these laws, will stand unshaken.